legacy of hope has traveled all across America and touched the hearts of over 1 million youth and adults. The story is told using dance and drama. Some of it is happy, some of it is sad, just like real life. Let yourself enjoy the performance. Think about it. Even notice how you feel about it, because you may hear just the thing to help a student, save a family, or just bring a ray of hope into your day. So now, help me welcome Legacy of Hope.
Hey, you think I'm crazy, man? You ain't seen crazy till you seen my old man. That bracho man. My old man, he starts drinking, man, and then he starts swearing on me. Sometimes waves his big old knife around, man. Damn near cut my hand off. Then there's this one time, my old man, he starts drinking on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I mean all week long, man. But he done that lots of times. Only this time it goes into my little sister's room, man. I hear her screaming, and then she's crying, man. I mean, like he done her, man. He done the nasty on my little sister, man. Now she's all messed up, and there ain't nothing I can do about it. Sometimes I just want to, like, kick his butt, man. You don't know nothing. Anyway, that's when I went out and I found myself my homies, man. Because, like, there ain't been nobody who cared about me for that. Oh, yeah. Yeah, my mama, she cares. She can't do nothing to protect us kids. So, like, I joined a gang, man. I found myself a family, huh? And yeah, you got that right. Yeah, we steal stuff. It don't bother me, no, man. The only problem I got, I met myself this chick, man. She got me to go to church with her a couple of times. Now she say she don't want me dead, man. First person in my life really don't want me dead. But I can't diss my homies, man. I know show they gonna beat on me. Bad, man. Hey, man, my life, it don't matter, man. Nothing matters. Not me, not you, nothing.
Hey, Natalie, we have cheer tryouts in 2 days. I am, like, so nervous. Come on, you got to show me those moves again, because like, I don't get it. I got it. Hey, Natalie, Hey, Natalie, I heard you talking about your dad before cheer practice. I mean, you sounded so mad at him. I mean, I love my dad. He makes a lot of money. He drives a red car, and I have my own cell phone and can text message all I want. He promised me a car at graduation, if he remembers. Well, like the other day, he forgot to pick me up from cheer practice. But he's under a lot of stress from work. That's what he said. Well, I mean, I know he loves me. He's my dad, and I'm supposed to love him. I mean, I do. Only sometimes he makes me so mad. Sometimes it's like all the time. Like when he yells and swears at me in front of my friends, it's like so embarrassing. Or that time he put his arms around my girlfriend Heather. Ew, that was not cool. Hey, he just needs rest. He needs Mom to leave him alone. She's his problem. She yells and screams, she gets on his nerves. Yeah, Dad does drink too much sometimes, but he doesn't throw up or fall down in the street or anything. He just gets kind of mean. But I mean, sometimes he says he's sorry, and he takes me shopping for like a Starbucks Frappuccino. Hey, I drink a beer too, or smoke a joint, or take a Xanny when we can sneak them. So what's the big deal anyway? I mean, I'm going to help my dad. I'm going to be so good. I'm going to get such good grades. I'm going to get in that college he really wants me to. I'm going to be so skinny he won't ever be disappointed in me again. Hey, I think he's here to get me. Hey, Dad. Hey, Dad. Hey, Dad. Hey, Dad. Hey, Dad. Wait. I think he forgot me again. It's embarrassing. I think he's drinking again. I know he is. I hate it. I hate it! Baby, we gonna party tonight. I'm not your baby girl anymore, Dad.
Let's get together and do what comes naturally. I've been holding back my love for such a long time. Nobody's come along that I would want to call mine. My phone's been ringing, but my heart it just won't answer. I can't pretend 'cause it's love I'm after. I've been looking. I was not prepared for what I saw in your eyes. I saw something I've been waiting for a long time. Together. We just met, but I know that you're no stranger. I can tell that my heart's in danger. I've been looking for you.
He says he loves me. I can't believe somebody I want finally wants me. I met him at a party, and I went just to go dancing. He was surrounded by a bunch of really cheap girls, only he wanted me. Me. And no, I did not sleep with him that night. He's the kind of guy that knows what he wants and doesn't care what anybody else thinks of him. Like he told his boss,
They didn't like the way things were being done. Well, so they fired him. They're jerks. Besides, now he has more time to be with me. Yeah. And this weekend, we're going back to the parties where we met and hang out with his friends. They like me too. Hey, guy, hands off, bud. At least the guys do. Hey, I finally have somebody to love, and I'm gonna make him so happy. Well, there's just one thing. I gave him some money to go buy clothes for a job interview, and he came back with an iPod. He said it was a gift for me, for when we move in together. He'll have a job by then, and quit drinking and using, he promised. Hey, that's what he told me. You adults, stay out of my business like you don't even know him. So, just butt out. Leave me alone.
listen to your old pappy.
Yeah, Pappy.
Stop drinking so much.
I've been doing so much drinking,
Shut up,
Pappy.
boy. You drink all day and you drink all night. And son, you know that ain't right.
Oh, Pappy, you just give me a chance.
Shut up, boy. Boy, you're looking thin as a twig.
I know that.
Look like your dear old pappy, you're about to blow your wig.
I'm gonna blow my wig, Pappy.
What's the use of getting sober when you're gonna get drunk again? Oh, Sam done something fine when he bought that good whiskey, beer, and wine. I love my whiskey and I love my gin. Every time you see me, I'm in my sin. So what's the use of getting sober when you gotta get drunk again?
What a mess. Why does he do this every time? He makes me so mad. Golly, what a creep. Why did he do this to me? I swear to God. Whoa, Brittany, wait. Wait, shh. Shh. All right, come in, but shut that door. Quiet, yeah. Yeah, he's asleep. What do you think? God, Brittany, look at this mess. Why doesn't he call when he's not going to be home on time? I've asked him 1,000 times. Yesterday was our anniversary, and I lied to get off work early. I spent all my overtime on new rims for his car. And at 11 p.m., he wasn't even home. The baby, what about him? Yes, he was asleep in his crib. Shh. Good baby, good boy, shh. So I left. So I left. I went down to the bar to get him. He's usually nice to me in front of his friends. Oh, please. He just disgusts me. Only this time he just ignored me. You don't think he was really interested in those dumb girls, do you? He got really mad when I accused him. He swore at me on our anniversary. I think I should divorce him. Oh my God, he's waking up. Brittany, go. Hun, you want me to get you a beer? No one's here. No, I know you don't like anyone here in the morning. No, wait, no, don't hit. Oh. Oh, jeez, I woke you up. Oh, my gosh. All right, shh. All right, shh. Okay. That's good, baby. All right. Okay. My grandbaby. My daughter is only 14. At least I waited till I was 16. Oh, God, her dad says get rid of this baby. Seems to think like it's my fault or something. It was the boys. They started the drinking games, Oh, she thought it was fun. And then there was this awesome senior. Why didn't she just say no, huh? You know what she says to me? Well, Mom, I wanted him to like me. Now, isn't that stupid? That just like a stupid girl, doesn't she know? They never do. Not for long, anyway. And why didn't she think? She heard about it in school. She heard about it in church. Huh? You know what she says to me? Well, Mom, we were so wasted by then. It's not like we even really thought about it. Oh, me with a daughter who can't hold her liquor? Now that's embarrassing. So now she wants this baby. What do you think? Oh, she wants to play with it and dress it up and feed it. Christ, I think she just wants it to love her, huh? What? What, baby, what? Didn't I love you enough, huh? Oh, look, I need another drink. I've had it with this babysitting thing. You know what? You babysit this kid for a while, okay, and take care of it. I want it back. Jeez. Oh, my gosh. YMCA. They gotta do that test again. I'm only 14. My mom and dad say I can't even date till I'm 16. Oh, really, it's my stepdad, and I just hate him. Besides, it is so boring around here, so what are you supposed to do? So I started sneaking out of the house, meeting guys down the block, and there's this guy, Andy, he's 17, and has this awesome red car. He took me to these bomb parties. We'd smoke some bud, down some 40s, do some oxy. And there's always a room at these parties where couples go and take turns. And Andy wanted to. Well, he is really hot. Besides, I was always so wasted by then. It's not like I really remember what happened. Although I do remember this one party. We're getting it on, and I remember looking up, and there were these three guys just standing there, drinking beers and watching. It was so annoying. Anyway, that's when my mom and dad went on vacation. So I was supposed to stay at my neighbor's house. Or I had to go home, get stuff out of my room, kind of hang out for a while. So Andy would always be there. So yeah, we did it. It was great. Only when my mom and dad came home, he broke up with me. And he never would say why. And then there were these other guys. I don't know, after Andy, it was just easier.
I mean, besides, there are always guys who want it. I don't know. Maybe I took sex and partying too casual, like my mom says. Maybe I took sex and partying, like, way too casual, because like, now they say I've got HIV. No way. I thought Andy loved me. I thought all those guys love me. I don't want to die. But I don't think anybody really cares if I do, so why should I? I know why you've called me in here. You're going to kick me off the team because, like, my grades have dropped. Yeah, my grandpa, he died 3 months ago. Yeah, I was close to him because whenever my parents would get drunk and fight, I'd go to my grandpa's house, so I was there like a lot. Yeah. My parents split up 6 months ago. You know, I'm supposed to see my dad like every 2 weeks. I haven't seen him in over 4 months because, like, he's got this girlfriend who doesn't want him to see his kids. Didn't even come to my grandpa's funeral. Do you know my friend Josh? He's that kid they make fun of on the internet. They call him gay and stuff. But he's been my best friend since I was 4, because, like, he always knows how I feel and stuff. He committed suicide 2 days ago. Yeah, I cut on myself last night. I only do it when I can't stand it anymore. But don't tell my mom. She gets really mad when I cut on myself, so don't tell my mom. Hey, look, don't tell my mom. Hey, look, I gotta go. I gotta go. Now I'd like to share with you who I really am. My name is Susie Vanderlip. I'm here from Southern California, and I am extremely honored to be with you this afternoon, and I want to thank you for letting me share some of my acquaintances with you this afternoon. Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, I know I'm amongst family with all of you, because I want you to know for the last 19 years, I've had an incredible experience, an incredible privilege to travel all across the United States, Canada, Hawaii, Guam, Ecuador. It doesn't matter where I've gone, though. It doesn't matter where I've gone to do school assemblies, middle schools, high schools, conferences, parent education programs. It doesn't matter where I go. It doesn't matter if I'm in the hugely overpopulated Southern California where I come from, or if I'm in some tiny little town up in Maine or Texas, Nebraska, Alaska, right here in Ohio. It doesn't matter where I go.
The problems these characters portray are absolutely rampant across the world, certainly across America, and we have a lot of other countries represented here today, which I'm very grateful for, because this is an international issue. And what I'm talking about are youth and adults who are turning to alcohol and drugs, or maybe it's irresponsible sexuality, or violence against others, or violence against themselves in order to cope with their feelings, because that's what this is really all about. And I will share more about that with you, and I hope as you go through the conference, you will reflect on what I share with you this afternoon. You see, first and foremost, let me share that all these characters, well, I'm kind of curious. They're all based on real people I know. How many of you saw a character that reminded you of someone you know? Yes, I see a lot of hands. Of course it would, because this is the world that we all are dedicated to helping. But I want you to know I met, well, one of these characters, Julio, in Fresno, California. And Julio was the first gangbanger I ever met, got to know personally a number of years ago. And before that, I didn't think I had anything in common with a Hispanic gangbanger, nor did I think I wanted to, because he scared me. And that was until we talked. And then I had an epiphany, a whole change of mind. Because Julio came up to me after an assembly in his school, and he said that he was growing up in a home where his dad drank daily and beat on him like 2 or 3 times a week. And he told me straight out at the age of 14, he went out and he joined a gang because he was lonely because of his feelings. How many of you have ever felt lonely? Haven't we all? Of course we have. I thought to myself, I felt lonely too. And it stopped me up short because I thought, we may look very different on the outside. Some of these children might come from very different cultures than your own. But on the inside, we are all alike. On the inside, children are certainly all alike. They all have the capacity to feel loved and wanted and like they belong. And they also have the capacity to feel lonely, unwanted, and alone, like Julio. And the problem is for him, well, in his home, he was told to keep his mouth shut or be severely punished. He didn't trust any adults. He didn't feel safe. So he reached out to what he thought he would fit in best, and that was other lonely, angry kids in the streets. He joined a gang. Of course, you know very well. Once you join a gang, it's very hard to get out. Maybe he has 3 ways, 3 options. Maybe he can get a good enough education to get a good job and move. Highly unlikely if he never connected with an adult he trusts, like someone like you. All right, maybe he'd end up in jail. Or maybe he would die, like his 2 older brothers already had by the time they were 18 years old, and he was in the car at 12 when they were shot and fell across his lap. He was a very wounded young man. He really wasn't a bad kid, but he was a kid going down a bad road, making some bad decisions. And I really respected Julio for 2 reasons. One, he had the guts to identify his real motive for joining a gang, and that was his feelings. And then 2, he had the courage to share that truth with me. And I thought that was pretty mature for any young man, but especially one in his circumstances. And then we have Jen. Jen is the 14-year-old exposed to AIDS. Jen is real too. But I met Jen a little closer to Ohio. I met Jen in Richmond, Virginia. She was going to a very exclusive private boarding school for girls, which means she came from a family with money. It did not protect her, because money does not protect families from the disease of alcoholism and drug addiction. In the field of psychology today, they call those things a brain disease. Yeah, it's considered illness. And she told me that she started sneaking out of the school at 14 years old to meet older guys. We're talking 18, 24, 30-year-old men that she met, where do you think? Yeah, on the internet, Facebook. And they were out looking. They were trolling for a naive little girl. And she was looking for somebody to drive her around since she didn't have a driver's license. Sounded like a good deal. But they figured that they would tell her they loved her, and then she would become sexual very fast when they asked. And she did. And I asked her why. You know what she told me? She said it was because she was bored. She was bored. How many of you have ever been bored? Can I see an honest show of hands? Just raise a pinky finger. You got it. We've all been bored. That's a normal part of the human repertoire of feelings. Well, I began to talk to teens for the next couple years about boredom, and I found something out. There are 2 kinds of boredom. There's the ordinary boredom we all have. Let's say, ladies in the crowd, you come home from work, you can hardly wait to cook dinner. Not.
And then you remember something cool you want to share with a friend. You know, we can pick up the phone, we're texting, we're emailing. All we got to do to get out of ordinary boredom is to get a goal, believe it's possible, and take some action towards it. That's how you get out of ordinary boredom. But then there's the boredom that Jen had and that I have seen rampant across America in the kids. And I think if you watch, you'll see it too. Maybe you already have. You know, because you see, she had a goal. She was at step one. She had a goal. Her goal was to be loved by her parents. But they were very party-hardy people. They threw her in a boarding school and they went off to live their lives. She saw them a week at Christmas, a week at Easter, 2 weeks over the summer. I mean, how do you think you'd feel if your parents only wanted to see you 1 month out of the year? Not so very good. And after I do assemblies in middle schools and high schools, I stay all day. For 19 years, I've stayed all day, so any kids who want to can talk to me. And I've been blessed to talk to 25,000 wounded kids. And they tell me over and over again, their biggest wound, the one that makes them most vulnerable to drugs, alcohol, sex, and other destructive choices, is feeling that one or both of their parents don't love them, and the next feeling is that it's their fault. Invariably, a young adolescent, when they start to have brain growth, will think that any criticisms, put-downs, loss, abandonment from a parent, lack of love, is somehow their fault. I'm not good enough. What's wrong with me? I hear it over and over and over. And just like Jen, they call it bored, whatever. What she really felt was completely and utterly hopeless. Hopeless. Now, we're all going to feel hopeless at moments in life. That's another part of being human. But what happens when our kids feel chronically hopeless? Then it turns into a victim consciousness, and they think it's all their fault. That's when they're very, very vulnerable. I've come to believe that what peer pressure really is, peer pressure is peer opportunity, being around a friend who's offering drugs or alcohol, and emotional vulnerability, being wounded, feeling like you're not lovable. If we can beef up the I feel lovable, the peer opportunity is not enough to get them to use. We work in the schools, you and I, all of us, to help build up the self-esteem and the awareness that I'm worthy. I'm worth being alcohol and drug-free. Well, I am talking to you today about alcohol and drug abuse, teen pregnancy, gangs, AIDS, violence, self-harm, suicide, all those things. But those are the symptoms. What I really am talking about today is what I call emotional wisdom. Emotional wisdom, because under every decision we make are our emotions. As you sit here in the middle of your brain, we all have this place called the amygdala. Can I hear everybody say amygdala? Amygdala. Yeah, it's a juicy word. I like that. You know, the amygdala, the field of psychology, has scanned the brain while people are thinking. And it is the first place that gets turned on in the human brain when we go to make any decisions in life. And this is true if you're young or old, male or female. It also is where we store a certain amount of emotional memory, especially fear. So the first piece of information the human brain uses to make any decisions in life is emotion. Now, the second place in the brain that gets turned on is the prefrontal cortex. Can we all say cortex? Cortex. There we go. The cortex is where we have impulse control, and we also have the ability to analyze, maybe even ask, what am I feeling? Where's that coming from? Is that person having a problem and I should ignore it? Or do I owe some apology? Am I going in the wrong direction? That's what those emotions are for, to help us understand what's happening around us. What's our responsibility? And then to make a healthy emotional coping choice, to do something positive about it. But here's the kicker. Do you know that the cortex starts to grow when young people are 12? And it keeps growing until they are 24 to 27 years old. So when kids are 10 or 12 or 14, 16, 18, 20, even 22 years old, they do not have the capacity to see all the consequences. They don't have the impulse control. It is not developed yet physiologically, much less experientially. In fact, let me ask you guys all of this. And how many of you have ever looked at a kid and said to them, especially a teen, what were you thinking? Huh? Well, they weren't thinking nothing. They don't have a whole brain to think with yet. And that's the truth. And if we get really conscious of that, when you're talking to those elementary school kids, They are responding to feelings. You must touch how they feel, not just try to get them to think, because they will not have the cortical skill set to really grasp all the implications until they are 24 to 27 years old. But we can develop it. You're doing that every time you're in that classroom. Well, I thought it might be interesting to see how emotionally wise all of you DARE officers and your families are here today. So I'd like to ask you in a minute to do a little exercise with me. I'm going to ask you, if you would, raise your hand, and when I call on you in one word, share very loudly a feeling you saw these characters portray. Because the first step in emotional wisdom is being able to identify feelings. So what feelings did you see in this show? Yes, right here. Yes, young lady. Depressed. Yes. Pain, anger, sadness, hate, fear, abandonment, hopeless, loneliness. Anybody else? I saw a hand and I heard something. Oh, one more time. Frustration for sure. Denial. Give them a round of applause. Well done. Well done. Well, I want you to know, I do this little exercise with every audience I talk to. Now, when I talk to middle school kids, you would be amazed. You probably see this if you did this with elementary school kids too. They will immediately identify 30 to 40 subtle emotions. They see everything, everything. Now, when I do high school kids, they will identify 10 to 12. Sometimes I throw a little candy at them to prime their pump. When I do a typical parent-adult crowd, how many emotions do you think they identify? 3. You are very much more emotionally wise than the standard adult population. So give yourselves one more round of applause. At least 3 times. I think we got 9 or more. But let me ask you this question. It's an A-B multiple choice question. Given what I just shared with you, do you think that middle school students have more emotions than high school students and adults? Or do you think B, as we get older, we begin to hide, deny, and suppress our feelings? How many B's? I agree with you, yes. As we get older, people, we hide, deny, and suppress our feelings. And yet, that is still what the brain is first making its decisions based upon. It's feelings. Why do you think I'd like some help. Why do you think, anybody got an opinion? Why do we hide, deny, and suppress our feelings as we get older? Anybody got an opinion? Yes, let me come on over there. Why do we hide, deny, and suppress our feelings?
Social image.
Social image, a lot of social pressure to hide those feelings.
Because of our ego.
And what about our ego?
Because we want to show that we are so high up.
Yeah, we want to think we're beyond being vulnerable, huh? Thank you. Why else do we hide, deny, and suppress our feelings? Yeah.
Fear of rejection.
Fear of rejection. Isn't that the truth? Yes. And we got one more. Enough running. Why do we hide, deny, suppress our feelings?
I believe it's survival.
And surviving who or what?
Everything around us.
Everything around us. Yes. Well, I agree. Give them all a round of applause, please. That was very constructive input. Yes, we live in a society that somehow has decided that, we're not supposed to have those or express those feelings. Instead, take a drink. Hey, instead, take a prescription drug. Hey, instead, go gamble, huh? Instead, hey, go fool around with somebody else instead of your spouse. Hey, don't feel, don't deal, hide, deny, and suppress your feelings, because then somebody's going to make some money off of you. It's an interesting little cycle that exists in our society. One last question. How many of you remember hearing when you were a kid, no, you shouldn't feel that way. No, you shouldn't hate your little brother. Anybody get that one? How many of you ever said that to your children? You know what? We're not wrong no matter what we feel. We're not bad because we feel hate. It's a reaction. Maybe there's a need. It's what we do with our feelings that matters. So I want to encourage you, no more shooting on your kids. It's better to say, I see that you hate your brother right now. I can appreciate how you feel, but you can't hit him anyway. Go think about it and let's talk about it. There are other ways to deal with all feelings that come through our system. Well, I learned a lot about emotional wisdom from two other people in my life. One was a 15-year-old girl, the other was a 17-year-old guy. They met in high school, they fell madly in love. In fact, they later got married. Only they were in high school before today's high school kids were even born. So it was simpler, safer. There were no drugs or gangs or guns or AIDS in the schools in those days. So she had very good high school years. When she was in high school, she was a cheerleader. She was on student council, and she graduated valedictorian of her high school class of 1,500 kids and was voted most likely to succeed. And she did not drink or do drugs. Her boyfriend was 6'2", 180-pound buff football player. Ladies, he was hot. And he didn't drink or do drugs either. Wasn't part of their scene in those days. It wasn't until they went to college. Now, when they went to college, and it still is true in college, but when they went to college, there were parties that are like the parties in high school today, parties where there's all the alcohol and there's all the weed our kids want to get their hands on, and maybe some pharmaceutical drugs, certainly today. And that's how it was when they went to college. And they had friends who were drinking and doing drugs. And you know, when you hang with people who are drinking heavily or doing drugs, a funny thing happens. It begins to look normal, even if it's an unhealthy normal, and it can look like fun. So they did try it. And he especially liked it, because it made him confident and funny and popular. And you know what? It made him more affectionate. So she liked when he used too. Because she was coming from a home where her dad was a good provider, but she couldn't remember the last time he'd said, "I love you." So when her boyfriend got high and loved on her, she liked it. She liked it a lot. Well, they graduated from college, and they got married. And they went into two very good careers. She went into the computer industry, and he became a dentist. They made good money. They bought a beautiful custom home on a hill. They got a bright red 911 SC Porsche. She got the metallic gray Beamer laters, not to be outdone. They went on great vacations, and everybody looked at them, and they said, this is the perfect couple. They've got it made. And as a dentist, yes, he did have privileges. He could go to any bank, they would give him a loan. He could go to the best restaurant, and they always gave him a window table. They figured he was going to tip well. He could go to any pharmacy, and it was, "Sure, doc, let me fill your prescription." No questions asked. And he'd learned in college what I have seen innumerable young people learning, certainly by high school, middle school, if not younger. And that is, it is not safe in many homes to express a feeling. There's a lot of alcohol and drugs covering up feelings in a lot of homes. There's a lot of abuse creating a lot of feelings you can't talk about. There's a lot of PTSD and there's a lot of loss. And it has to be hidden, denied, some way. And then he found alcohol and drugs. It was so easy now just to cover those feelings up. He'd come home from work, he'd be stressed out. He'd go to his medicine cabinet, he'd pull out the prescription relaxation drug Valium. And then he heard heck, he was an avid jock, you know, and his muscles would get sore, so he'd go back to his medicine cabinet. He'd pull out the prescription painkiller Percodan, as popular then as OxyContin is today. And then when he threw parties, he bought cases of fine California wines. He grew some pot plants in a closet, so he would have the good stuff. And then he opened up his medicine cabinet to his friends, and they thought he was cool. I mean, they thought he was this great guy. Only now things began to change inside this house because she began to have all the feelings these characters portrayed and that you identified very well today. Fear, anger, disappointment, hurt, loss, hate, resentments, fear, guilt. Guilt. She thought it was all her fault, just like the kids. Well, because he told her so. "I don't have a problem with drugs and alcohol. The only problem I have is you. And if you just get out of my face, I'd be fine." Then he'd throw shoes at her from across the room or punch a hole in the wall with his fist. Oh, he no longer showed love and affection. No matter how high he got or what he took to get there, all he showed was anger or ignored her completely. And he became obsessed with video games. He would get stoned and loaded and high on something, and he would play for 24 hours straight. Space Invaders out the wazoo in those days. And she went up to him this one weekend. He'd been playing all weekend long. And she said to him, please, just stop playing for a second. I mean, you told me you were going to take me to the show this weekend. You're breaking all your promises. Please just look at me. Just talk to me. I mean, just put your arm around me. You used to be my best friend. And you know what he said to her? Nada. He just kept right on playing. And that night she hurt so bad. She thought to herself, I'm just going to jump in my car and I'm going to drive as fast as I can towards that cliff, and I'm not going to turn the wheel, and I don't have to hurt this bad anymore. Here's this girl who in high school was voted most likely to succeed, and on this night was most likely to commit suicide on the feelings of living with, of loving an alcoholic addict. No, she didn't do it. She held on a little longer. And soon he started snorting cocaine with other doctors, dentists, businessmen, and airline pilots. Think about that next time you fly, huh? And then it was August, and it was hot, and he had the flu, no less. So you know what he did. He went to his medicine cabinet. He pulled out his prescription painkiller. And then he heard all the beer commercials that say, hey, stud, when you're hot and sweaty, what do? He went to the refrigerator, pulled out the ice-cold ones, and then he saw the TV guide, Sunday Night Football. Can't miss that, so he snorted some lines of cocaine to stay awake. By the middle of the night, his heart stopped. By morning, he was gone. That morning, at the age of 35, mi esposo murió. My husband died. Now that happened in my life over 25 years ago. But I think many of us who work to save the lives of children from drugs and alcohol and from the despair of coming from an alcoholic, drug-addicted family know the loss ourselves. It motivates us, drives us, impassions us. A few short weeks after he died, the beautiful house on the hill, it went back to the bank. They foreclosed. He'd snorted the mortgage up his nose. The cars went too, and there was no life insurance by then. So I lost a lifestyle I'd worked very hard for and enjoyed very much. I lost a man I adored. And worst of all, I lost my self-esteem and my goals and my hope for a period of time. And I know what it feels like to feel completely and utterly hopeless. It's a bottomless pit that you think you can never get out of. But over the last 27, 28 years of my life, I have learned the most important lessons of my life. The ones you're working to teach the kids, I'm sure. But first I learned that I had the responsibility, and then I learned that I had the opportunity even to hurt so bad around the disease of alcoholism and drug addiction that I had to reach out and ask for help. I needed to talk about those feelings in the safe and supportive places that do exist all over this planet. And in many cases, that may be you, that door that opens to know you're not bad, that you ache inside as a child because of what's going on in your home. You open that door to hope and help. And over the last 27, 28 years, I have found those places to share and to help others share and heal as well. And when we let others do that, when we do that for ourselves, when we let those emotions out, and when we heal them, miracles happen. It's almost like we open ourselves up to the miraculous energy in the universe. And one of those miracles that has happened in my life, I'm glad to share with you, is that yes, I am remarried and not to another alcoholic addict, for which I am very grateful. To a psychologist, from the frying pan into the fire. And no, he was not my psychologist. Don't go there. That's not legal. But I'll share with you real quickly, and we'll close the program this afternoon. 4 quick keys. Key number 1, I had to get out of denial. Out of denial, and I'm not talking about swimming in a river in Egypt. Denial. I didn't know I was living with alcoholism and drug addiction. I didn't know what happened to educated people with nice houses and cars. It can happen anywhere and anybody. And so can the denial, the hiding of it throughout the family. You know, we're as sick as our secrets. Of course we are. And then I learned that for every one person who's growing up in a home where somebody drinks heavily or does drugs, there are 5 to 10 other people getting sick around that person, whether it's a child or an adult, on the feelings that come along with the family disease of alcoholism and addiction. And then I also learned that I really had to
Get out of denial about stress in my life. Do you know that the word stress, this little 6-letter word stress, it's the word we adults give ourselves to say we're having feelings. Stress is just feelings. Fear of failure, overwhelm, worry, anxiety, fear of failure. Fear of failure, maybe it's just plain old fear if I fail, I won't be loved. Maybe it's just plain old fear of not being loved. That's such a basic human need. But as adults, let's not ignore stress and what it really means in our lives. Maybe we need to find ways to love ourselves and to let others love us through the hard times, because we're going to have them. Life doesn't stop. Get out of denial. Then key number 2 is to reach out and ask for help. People, fellowships, and faith. You are those people for many children. You never know. I never know who's going to come talk to me after an assembly. They can be the rowdiest crowd in the world, and I'll think, I never reached a one of them. And then 50 kids show up after an assembly, be desperately needing to talk. I will share with you something that a friend told me many years ago when I started this mission of reaching children, wounded children. And perhaps it will help you too. They said to me, Susie, you are nobody's savior. You are only the messenger. And I keep that in mind because there is an ocean of damaged children. And each and every one of us can be the messenger. They will eventually heal themselves if you open the door, plant a seed of hope in their hearts. People. And fellowships. Yes, when I find somebody who needs it, I recommend Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, Overeaters Anonymous. You want to be anonymous in this world? You can. Okay? Or Al-Anon and Alateen for the friends and families of alcoholics. To extend the recovery, keep it going. It's free and there's no gossip. That's a hard place to find. And faith. I could not be here with you. I couldn't have overcome that tragedy and be working with children of so much pain if I hadn't found a loving, caring, miracle-making power in this world that I choose to call God. We are physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual creatures, as are the children we touch. So please help everyone and yourselves, develop all 4 aspects of who you are. Get out of denial. Reach out and ask for help. Then self-esteem rises. And then you can do key number 3. The children can set a personal policy. Set a personal policy you're going to stick with. I did that many years ago, and it's what I live by. I don't choose to use any destructive externals to cope with the feelings or the stress of my life. There's so many healthy emotional coping skills and techniques, of which our de-stress workshop will teach while my husband and I are here. I don't need to turn to alcohol or drugs or overeating or gambling or whatever else there might be, because I have some really healthy, legitimate tools in my life, and that's what we all need. Get out of denial. Reach out and ask for help. Set a personal policy you really feel you're going to stand by. And then key number 4 is what really builds every one of our self-esteem, and the kids too. And that is to commit your life to service. Commit your life to service. Well, I don't have to tell any of you that. You've already done that. Oh, I know you're all in your jobs because of the big bucks they pay you. No? I know it's because you have a heart of service. Every one of us, me too. We know that making a difference in someone else's life is it's the biggest upper there is on the planet. It's the biggest high there is. Well, one of my characters learned these 4 things. Julio got out of denial. He realized he was living in a very alcoholic, drug-addicted, dangerous lifestyle. And then Julio reached out and asked for help. He came and he talked to me, and then we went and talked to his school counselor, who was a very bright lady. She'd started a support group. She called it an anger management group, but she knew very well it was for children from abuse. And there they could talk with each other and support each other. And on a daily basis, they began to realize they were not alone and they weren't bad for what they felt. And they realized they began to understand the dysfunction in their homes, so they didn't have to take it personal. And then he made a commitment. He did not want to be in a gang or drink or do drugs.
So he started bringing his gangbanger, kind of a wannabe gangbanger buddies, into this support group. And they began to talk too. And before you know it, they all began to feel like maybe their lives actually mattered. So they could commit their lives to service. This little anger management group started going out to elementary schools for the very physically disabled children and read to them and care for them and throw Valentine's Day parties with them. And they made a difference in someone else's life. And now, as a result, Julio has graduated from high school. Julio has graduated from college. And Julio works in a juvenile probation department helping a whole lot of kids be alcohol, drug, and gang-free. Give me a quick second. I'll bring Julio back out to close the show and share with you how he regained his self-esteem, his goals, and his hope, too. Hey, I think I'm supposed to tell you, like how I got to this support group, like where you could talk, like if somebody's drinking or drug use was making you mad or sad and worry and stuff. And then I heard like you could get out of class to go, and I thought, that's cool. But like I heard stuff I didn't expect to hear, man, Like it's not my fault that my old man, he drinks, or my sister, she does drugs, man. Hey, even when my old man, he says to me, I'm drinking because you're such a loser, man. I learned here, just because an alcoholic says it, man, doesn't make it so. That's a relief. Whew. But like I also heard, I can't stop nobody from drinking or doing drugs. Better I get myself some hobbies, like basketball or soccer, or like my street dance, man. Yeah. That's good stuff, man. I like that. That's good stuff, yeah. And then I got myself an attitude. All right, so I always had an attitude, but I got myself a good attitude. I'm gonna give myself a good education, then I'm gonna give myself a good job. I think maybe I could be like the president of that DARE organization, man. You tell him, Mr. Parsons, man, I want his job. You gotta set your goals high, yeah, man. And then lastly, I heard like it's okay to pray, man, But like I always pray, like, please, God, whoa, make that chick look at me, huh? But there's a whole nother way to pray, man. It goes like this. You go, hey, God, hey, dude, what do you want me to do with my life today, huh? You what? Whoa, he's tougher than my old homies, man. He told me to tell you, you listen up. Well, I found somebody to love by going to these meetings, man. Well, it's cool, man. It's me. Yeah. God don't make no junk. He told me to tell you, the real somebody to love, man. Shh. That's you. That's you. Yeah. Thank you.
Together and do what comes naturally.